and children had when they were sad. "How about we do something fun tomorrow?" I suggested to the two boys who were awake. "Can we make cookies?" Jacob gasped. "Well, I mean, yeah, but you might have to do that with Callie. How about we do something that doesn't involve putting something in your belly?" I suggested instead, giving him a poke in the stomach that made Jacob snort out a laugh. "Maybe we could go shopping for Kai's bedroom," Kobe suggested. Even in the room's dim light, I could see the shine of excitement in his eyes. Internally, I cursed myself for not having this conversation with the kids earlier. Of course, they'd automatically assumed Kai coming here meant he was joining our family. "Kai might not want to stay with us, Bud. He might want to go and live with another family in the underground," I told them softly. I didn't want to make life any harder by separating them, but this had to be Kai's decision. He might be young, but he was old enough to have a say in this. Besides, it would probably be safer for him to be as far away from us as he could get. "He has to stay," Kobe whispered, gripping the shirt of the sleeping boy a little tighter. A flow of calming alpha energy seeped out of me and started to fill the room. It was an unconscious gesture now. A few months ago, the realization would have filled me with panic at thinking I was losing control, but now it was the most natural feeling I'd ever had. This was what I was meant to be, a true alpha. I could feel it deep in my soul that whatever changes were taking place had always been there, waiting for the right time. As Kobe's shoulders drooped, I felt my wolf's anxiety ease along with the little boy's panic. He can make that decision for himself tomorrow, and if he decides he wants to stay for a little bit, that's all right too. Kobe nodded sadly, but seemed to accept what I said, so I was happy to leave it there for the night. "You guys snuggle down and try and get some more sleep, okay? It's still nighttime." Both boys relaxed back on the bed again. I could tell from their breathing that it wouldn't be long until they were asleep, so I quietly left the room, content to leave them to it for now. We'd have to look at the bedroom situation tomorrow. We couldn't carry on like this, not to mention that Callie still didn't have a room to call her own. It had worked for us up until now because she seemed to go to whoever needed her. But it shouldn't all be about our needs, and she needed a space to call her own. Even the library had been taken over by everyone else at this point. If these shifters agreed to stay with the pack, Nash would need to follow up with the timber suppliers for the cabin kits we'd ordered. If we could move up the time frame of their delivery, it would ease at least some of the pressure. We also needed to get the top floor of the house finished. It would give Callie the space she needed and be somewhere we could all be together. But the reality was both construction projects were far more than we could handle, at least not on the time scale we needed. Tanner was right that it would solve a bunch of our problems if the shifters agreed to stay, but we didn't have the means to give these people a comfortable home they deserved. At least not yet. Then there was the problem of whether we could in good conscience expect these people to fight. Hadn't they been through enough already? With my mind lost in plans of how we could house everyone comfortably, I crept down the stairs. It was one of those situations where I tried to make as little noise as possible, but the impossibly quiet house seemed to amplify every creak of the floorboards into a sonic boom. The last thing our newest collection of housemates needed was to wake up to a shadowy figure creeping around in the night. I could feel my wolf growing agitated again as my mind started to spiral around the nightmares of what Stone had been doing to them. So I quickly made my way outside before my alpha powers started to leak out. The sound of a hushed voice talking quickly on the porch had me stopping in my tracks as I closed the door behind me. Wasn't anyone in this house asleep? Peering around the corner along the wraparound porch, I found Blake sitting in a chair as he put his phone back in his pocket. His eyes flared wide in surprise as he caught sight of me. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just catching up with Jean. Feeling a bit out of sorts with everything that happened and wanted to talk to my little man." "You do realize he's literally days old?" I laughed, slightly confused. "He knows his daddy's voice," Blake said smugly, leaning back in his chair and crossing his arms with a smirk on his face. It spoke to something inside of me, and it must have been written all over my face. "Oh, Alpha, you're thinking about babies, aren't you?" he joked. I shrugged, trying to play it off casually, even though my wolf was practically baying in my mind in agreement. Dropping down into the seat next to him, I cast an assessing gaze over Blake. Today, or rather yesterday by now, was hard. No one would blame me if you wanted to meet up with Jean and Tucker in the